Okay, hello everyone. My name is Aaron Ferrell. I am the writer, director, animator, composer, and etc. for the Exposed Racer Wreck-It Ralph fan film. And I wanted to do this director commentary to help people understand why I made it and the successes and failures that I made along the way trying to get this thing to come true. So we can begin by talking about where the idea came from, and obviously it is a Wreck-It Ralph fan film, and Wreck-It Ralph is the biggest influence on my fan film, and I've been a Wreck-It Ralph fan since the first movie came out all the way back in 2012, and I went to the theater to see it with the field trip on November 16th of that year, and it was a life-changing experience because, it's something I had cared about. Whenever I had seen it for the first time, it was sort of life-changing. I didn't realize I had an interest in video games before, but that movie, it was all about games, and it had Sonic and stuff in it, and that was a huge deal. And what really got me, though, was the characters like Ralph and Vanellope in particular. Their story of how they were able to bond and come together despite their differences meant the world to me, and it was something I needed to hear in a time when I was going through a lot in my personal life. And so that movie was a huge deal, and it changed the way I see things. And then fast forward a few years to the sequel in 2018, and that was also a big deal because I had completely forgotten about Ralph for a while, and then when I saw Ralph Breaks the Internet, it sort of changed everything, and I fell in love with the series again, and I wanted to pursue it even more, and I loved it. And really, Ralph Breaks the Internet is the thing that propelled me to do what you see here. Because after I saw that, a lot had changed at Disney as far as the corporate structure and the people who were running it. One of the directors, pretty much both directors, Rich Moore and Phil Johnston, had left after Ralph Breaks the Internet, and a lot of the other animators and writers and whatnot either went to other studios or became entrenched in other projects, and so it felt kind of hopeless. You felt there was no future for the series, and so I decided that I was going to have to do something myself, and for a long time I had no idea what I would do because, I'm just one person. I don't have a whole studio at my disposal to just make something, but what I do have is, the passion and the concern and the love for the series, and I knew that I wasn't going to make something quite like what they had made, but I could still make something that was meaningful and impactful for me and for my, what I got out of it. And so first I did a little short for a film festival at college that was based on one of the deleted scenes from Ralph Breaks the Internet, but I wasn't very happy with how it turned out, and I didn't like the way it looked, so I never released it publicly, but I just could never let it go because I loved these characters so much and I wanted to do something. And eventually I got the idea to start doing these fan films, and I did the Racers Under Training, which is the previous one I did before Exposed Racer, and that was just a bunch of drawings, like 600 something drawings for 12 minutes or something like that, it seems crazy, but if you love something, then you'll do anything to keep it alive. But thankfully, that was received very well, and I decided to take it to the next level and try to make it something that was actually fully animated, and that eventually led me to do what became Exposed Racer here. And so that's sort of the long story of how we got to the position where we are now, where this exists. So If you've seen the movie already, you probably have noticed it's a very emotional movie as far as I didn't want it to be a sort of the original movies were very comedic and such, but I wanted to keep some of that, but also add in some of the emotional stuff that resonated with me when I watched them, and so I tried to find a balance between the comedy and the emotions and drama of the story. I don't know how well I did, but I tried the best I could to balance the two out, and you know, the story that I came up with obviously is based somewhat on personal experience. I've never had a drawing or anything of mine be used to humiliate me in public, but I've had people bully me and judge me for having interest in movies and Disney, and because those aren't, people say those aren't things that people like me should be interested in, but yet I am, and I love them, and I will never not love them, but I decided to use those emotions as sort of a backbone for this story because I can, I've not the specific experience, but I have felt similar feelings to what Crumbelina feels, and I relate to that. So that's why I decided to include it. And like I had said before, when you watch the original movies, especially the first one, there is a lot of emotion. Even though it's a comedy, there is still a huge amount of emotional weight, and that's one of the things that makes it such a beautiful movie, is that it was able to balance the comedy and emotions in such a way that neither one outdid the other. And so that's what I wanted to try to imitate with this movie as well. And Candlehead, to me, she's sort of based off of my aunt in real life, because my aunt has always been there for me. And I've talked about I've had some rough things go on in my life, and it seemed that she was there when nobody else would be there for me. And so I felt subconsciously, I didn't realize until after it was finished, but Candlehead's character in this movie is based off of my aunt in real life, how she was able to help me and support me and do all these things to help me achieve the things I wanted to, and I'm grateful for her for that. And I wanted Candlehead to sort of have some of that in her, because to me, when you look at her eyes and you look at her smile, she just has that emotional quality of, even if she doesn't know how to help, she'll do whatever she can to make sure, that you feel better, even if all she can do is just be with you and stuff. And that's what I love about this movie, especially of all the things that I'm proud of. I think the best thing is the emotional relationship between Candlehead and Crumbelina, because as you see here, she seems to be the only one that truly cares about Crumbelina in her hour of need, and she's not entirely sure what to do, but she knows that doing something is better than just leaving Crumbelina alone. And so for that's probably what I'm most proud of, and why I think the emotions of this movie are very important, is because she was able to do something for her friend that most other people, the other characters, didn't realize. Of course, what they were doing was going to be hurtful, but none of them were as brave as Candlehead to actually come forward and admit that what they had done was wrong. And obviously that takes a lot of bravery and strength to come out and admit that you did something that you shouldn't have. And so I decided to include that in Candlehead. And, you know, as I had said, that's why I think the emotions of this movie are why it's one of my favorite things I've ever made. I don't know how many movies since at least the fall or winter of 2018, when I was a senior in high school. But out of all the movies I've done, this is by far one of the best one I've ever made. And sure, the animation is not the best, and the music is sometimes a little weird, but overall, I think it's the best thing I've ever done. And I would not have had it any other way, you know. And with that, I think we can segue into the technological aspect of it. This was made with Blender, and for those who don't know, Blender is animation software. Well, it's animation, modeling, render. It's basically an overall 3D software if you want to play with models, whether you want to make animations or try to make video games, whatever it is. Blender is a very versatile, powerful tool that can help you with all sorts of things. And the version of Blender I used is actually not the most up-to-date modern version. It's actually 2.79, which is about, it's about as old as my filmmaking journey in a way, at least 2018, 2019. And I remember on LinkedIn a few months ago, I was posting sort of behind-the-scenes photos as I was making progress, and somebody left a comment saying, "Why are you using 2.79? The rendering time is bad." And, sure, it takes a long time to render, but the reason I used it compared to a more modern version is because 2.79 is the one I'm most familiar with. I've dabbled in 2.80, a while ago, and I enjoyed it, but I would not say, it was a little difficult because when you had been used to doing 2.78, 2.79, and then all of a sudden the new version, everything changes, it's sort of hard to get used to that. And so I decided, even though it's not the most up-to-date version, I'm just going to use Blender's 2.79 since it's something I know about, something I can work with. And obviously I was able to make Exposed Racer with that, and as I said, my animation, I am not a professional animator, and I don't know, if any professional animators have ever watched it. I'm sure if they did, they would, cringe in their seats and tell me all the things you didn't do wrong. Well, you should have done this, that, and thing. But at the end of the day, for me personally, it was never about having perfect animation or great looking graphics. It was just about trying to have the passion for Wreck-It Ralph. I have the passion for these characters and their stories and their journeys. And, I don't care if the movie is 10 years old or 20 or however old it is. It's important to me, and it's changed my life, and I want to do things to not only show my filmmaking skills as a writer, director, etc., but also to make something that genuinely means something to me. And obviously, this movie means a lot because it's based off of one of my all-time favorite movies, and I wanted to, make something that was meaningful, even though I wasn't the most proficient. And I never had mentioned this to anyone before, outside of a few people, but, I mentioned I have a LinkedIn account, but what I didn't mention is I tried to send this to some people who work at Disney, because I figured maybe they would be interested in turning it into some sort of, TV show or Disney Plus original series or something, and, part of me still wants to do that, and I'm still working on that, but I sent it to some people, but unfortunately they didn't really respond the way I had hoped they would. They never said anything bad. They actually just didn't say anything at all. And For a few weeks, I was kind of depressed because I was hoping they would say something, but I'm not. I've gotten over it now, and I realize that obviously this is my dream. I want to do this for a living. I want to be a director and work on a movie studio and things like that, and I believe I will. But the difference is I don't have to beg people for permission. I just do the things and just release them, and then somehow that is the work. Tried asking somebody to help me get work, but then I just realized, I did everything I needed to do. So that didn't work as I had hoped, but I'm not done. I'm not giving up. I'm still going to do more movies. I've got ideas for another project in the future. I won't give it too much away now, but just know that I might be off the internet for a few months, but I'll be back eventually with a new project. And yeah, pretty much that's all I had to say for the Exposed Racer director's commentary. Just wanted to give you a little bit of an update of give you a look at how it works, how I did it, and what the future is. So with all that said, thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll see you later.